Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today we are bringing you the latest from Shudder, the horror movie app that has taken over streaming just because it's the best app for streaming anything humanly possible right now, just the way they have everything set up. But this movie is called Anything for Jackson, and here's a quick synopsis and then we'll get into it. A bereaved satanic couple kidnap a pregnant woman as they use an ancient spellbook to put their dead grandson's spirit into her unborn child, but end up summoning more than they bargained for. That synopsis on its own sounds absolutely crazy of a movie, but it stars Julian, Richings, and Sheila McCarthy. First start off by saying this again, it sounds ridiculous, but this is one of the best shot horror movies this year. The cinematography, the score, the tone, everything of this movie is really, really good. It kind of surprised me. I didn't expect this movie to be nearly as good as it was. I was kind of thrown off that I enjoyed it this much. Quickly get into the film. It starts off just as the synopsis says. We're introduced to the mom who they kidnap and tied to the bed, and then they start doing all this satanic stuff to attempt to get their dead grandson spirit put into her baby. Now, it gives you backstory of why that they're going to this extent. I can't tell you that much because it would spoil the movie for you, but it does give backstory on why they did it, and the backstory makes sense. It actually makes sense. Granted, this concept is crazy, but everything of it makes sense of why they do it. And the first 2/3 of this film are great on so many levels. It's spooky, it's haunting, it's everything you want in a horror movie. In those first 2/3 of this film, it really works well. Now, unfortunately, by the time we get to the third act, it kind of goes off the rails because it felt like they were throwing everything at you in that last act, and it kind of takes away from some of the spookiness and the charm that you got from the first 2/3 of the movie, but it still doesn't take away from the overall experience of this movie. Julian's performance is great in this movie as he's playing a doctor who really is just going along with what his wife's wishes are and doing this whole satanic ritual thing. And we get him at times feeling bewildered, feeling like this is something they shouldn't do. But his love for his wife, and as we found out down the line, his love for his child is the reason why he makes these decisions and goes along with this scheme. And in any scheme of this nature, you already know someone's going to magically find out about it, and then it's hijinks after that when they magically find out about it or when they try to piece together the story. But the ghost elements of it, the haunting elements of it, like elevate this film to a point that I didn't think it should be at. And that says a lot because Shudder this year has put out some really good horror movies. They've missed on a couple, but they put out some really good horror movies. And this is another one. This is one that if you're just looking for a horror movie to watch Friday night that is scary enough and haunting enough to really like get you engrossed in it, this is the perfect film for you. Granted, again, as I said before, the last act of the film is not what it should be, but the performances are really good. The tone is really good. It's shot well. It feels more expensive and expansive than it possibly is, but it works. And it works really, really well. Again, we get some supporting characters that aren't necessary in this movie that you kind of wish weren't in it, but that leads to it kind of going off the rails in the third act. But as long as you can sit back and enjoy those first 2 acts of this film, the first 2 acts of this film kind of brought to mind to me The Conjuring's first 2 acts. And not that the movies compared to one another, but in The Conjuring's first 2 acts, everything was great. And then by that third act, it kind of went a little kooky. And this one is worse in the kookiness in the third act. But again, once you get to the first 2 acts, you're going to really, really enjoy this movie. So, here's again, Anything for Jackson from Shudder Entertainment out of a possible 10. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Right now, I'm almost willing to say this is definitely a top 5 horror movie of this year. And I wanted to say top 3, but that may be pushing it because The Invisible Man technically is a horror movie. So it's probably top 5 horror movies of this year. This is a hidden gem from Shudder that I'm not sure they knew what they had here, but once you see it, you'll enjoy it, or you may not enjoy it. But let us know what you think about it. I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoy Shudder's app. I really enjoy the way that they put out horror movies, especially for a person like me who loves horror movies. But check it out. Let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.